So we join back in after last week. The group had modified the notes that they had taken, or at least in secret. Ichi and Dante had modified the notes to be given to. And do you know what? Do you know what that's the silly name we gave him? I can't remember the silly name we gave him. The assistant. Before they give the notes to the assistant of Moonshadow Junior in exchange for the
Larry.
I can't remember what his bloody name
was. In exchange for the protection against divination items and something to help make the sword a bit easier to carry or hide.
Where it was like.
There was then some violence over sausages. Before now we join back in. So essentially, in terms of this evening, I know that so Dante, you've done some healing. Is there anything people want to do this evening directly? Did you? Oh, you were. I believe when we left off, Dante was asking what the issues were with the sword. We can join with both of that.
Yeah, so I sent a message to say we had the pages, and asked how they were getting along, and they said that the rings take time. They're almost done with them, not quite done yet, but the sword is proving to be more difficult. Sorry, Dante, I couldn't hear you there. You were muffled by sausages.
Why? What was different? What's difficult about it? How long are we talking?
They didn't elaborate. They just said it's more difficult.
Can you send another message?
Can I send another message? That is a good question.
Dante, we were also saying about how obviously dodgy this bloke is. I don't know. Do you trust him? Do you think he's going to actually do the exchange fairly?
I don't know if you do the exchange fairly. That's why we don't give them until we have everything.
If he couldn't do the sword bit, would we be willing to still give him the pages for the jewellery?
We were able to knock it down in price to only 500. If they were wanted,
how much did they want? It was over $1,000.
Oh yeah, it was like two or $3 grand.
So it was originally about $3,000-ish. So we would be able to knock it down further. But I would worry about ever opening up that case, and we can't just leave it lying around.
No, we're going to have to take it with us, I think, regardless. Even if we thought it was hidden, would you really want to leave it in the city?
No, I would not want to leave it anywhere. This is why I want something, a way to be able to carry it or imbue it or something without people being able to see it. Because the whole point, as we know, they will scry on us. That's what the rings will be for. But they will also scry on it. So it is just as important as the rings.
I mean, as long as you think he isn't going to, Welsh on the deal, then.
I think he's scared. Moonshadow has been on his case ever since somebody told him that Moonshadow Junior was part of the race, and now he's wanting something to tip the balance on his side. Apparently, he's a kid.
Well, he is just generally a young kid, isn't he? A student.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, like, to you, definitely a kid. He's like 19, 20. Yeah.
He's just
also to know, and you would sort of know this thinking about this. So you can't scry on an object.
No.
You can only scry on a person or a place.
Could they scry on the person that is inside the object?
maybe you don't know, because also scry doesn't work so well across planes.
Planes. Yeah, I
So
know.
you're not sure on that front. But also, so if you think you can't scry through the lead box, so you couldn't scry on him while he's in the lead box, and you can't scry on an object, so you can't scry on the lead box.
Yeah.
The only thing you would be susceptible to, and Ichi would know this, is locate object. But lead does block a locate object, so you can't locate object the sword. And if you said locate object lead box, it gives you every lead. Well, it gives you the closest lead box to you in that moment.
Mm.
So you would have to be very specific about the description of the box. Now, obviously, if they have seen it, then they could say a lead box by these dimensions, but it will still give them the closest one of that kind. So in terms of, yes, it's not great, and yes, you might need to. It's not the worst thing in the world if you're carrying a lead box, until it becomes somebody's fixed on you and is like, that's the lead box we're following.
I think this is the problem, isn't it? Now I know we want to hide the sword. I think it's pretty well hidden as far as the lead's concerned. Once
It's
they
just
know that
the
I'm
container.
carrying it, yeah. Well, once someone's sussed out that I'm carrying it, they can then scry on me and follow me.
It makes me, so the two things that I come for that is, one, if we ever need to use it, getting it out of a box, a big lead box, is significantly more difficult than out of a sheath.
Is it safe to use?
We don't know. That's what we're going to test. That was what
I've got the magic circle set up so that we can do a test for Dante in a more controlled environment.
Because if it's safe to use, and if Dante wanted to then carry on using it, this lead box is pointless, isn't it? Even any kind of method of hiding the sword is pointless. The minute you unsheath it and start attacking things with it, they're going to know where it is.
And that is why I'm saying we need having something that can hide it, whether it's a pocket dimension sheath or something.
But like I said, the minute
saying it doesn't, the second you draw it,
the second you draw that sword to attack something with it, it's now no longer in the pocket dimension or hidden.
You can't scry on it.
They can still do locate object at that point and check if that's the sword they were looking for.
or as you were saying, scry on the person within the sword. I think the point Aelen's making is there any point waiting for this big hiding thing and paying a lot of money for the hiding aspect if you're just going to run around wielding it?
If you're going to wield it anyway.
Also, if someone does see it, they could locate the hilt, locate the sheath. That's the thing. Once the object containing it gets possessed, that we buy it, then that's just the new thing they look for rather than the sword itself.
Unless the whole thing becomes in a pocket dimension.
But again, then Ichi's done this with, like, to be fair, Ichi and Bruce followed down and chased Tenebrice as they were trying to hide and shifting and cover it. Like, they know how to, like.
And then met us in a bar, told me all his plans, and then got butchered. So it didn't work that well.
But that's just on the level. That's what you can do. They did stuff, but it was like, oh, he was seen wearing this piece of clothing. Sweet, that's what we're tracking now.
Yeah, okay, every time you disappear,
he's now a noble. He's now
a
merchant.
His locate object is only 1,000 feet, which isn't particularly long. It's like 3 football fields.
But it's also a very low level spell, and you can pop it off if you're just riding a horse. Okay, we've ridden 1,000 feet. Pop it again. Ridden 2,000 feet, and the radius of it, you just.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily help. Say if that person's in Canada and the other person's in Mexico.
So my point
when you're
is,
close, but.
So my point is, are we spending a lot of effort and time on trying to hide this sword when maybe we don't need to? Or not that we don't need to, but the chances of them using it to find us is so small. It's a thought.
I mean, I think it's a good idea personally. I think, say, especially for the size of it. It keeps it. It's easier to hide. You can put it in effectively, sort of having strapped to one of our backs. It could be, depending on the size of the thing, it could even be something that's equipable on the hip, like on your hip. If someone was to come and sneak into our camp, for example, yes, and we have alarms and whatever, they could steal a box. They wouldn't steal. They wouldn't necessarily know to look for something on someone's hip.
I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
But also, to be fair, I will say you make it easier for once they know what it is, you've made it easier to carry.
I mean, you've also been carrying this sword around, and it's quite a valuable sword. People could identify you, have probably been able to identify you by that sword for years.
Oh, that I don't doubt.
It's one of the key identifiers we were looking for whenever. Obviously, there was the raging fire, but you know, the thing that differentiated between the one time Ruth and I got brought to a village because a kid set his dad's barn on fire accidentally, compared to an individual setting things on fire with a giant greatsword.
I mean, as a group, we're fairly noticeable.
I don't know what you mean, Ailish.
Even
Looks
individually,
around
some
at
of
this
us,
very
yeah.
colourful bunch.
Individually, we're quite noticeable. As a group, together, we're fairly unique. I think if people want to find us, they're going to find us. And the people who are hunting for you right now, Dante, are fairly powerful. It's not like the guys that I thought were following me that are just, minions of my ex-husband. This is
Thing
something
is,
else.
though, at least that's proven the fact that they were definitely targeting you.
Well, we don't know. That's the thing. The people who I saw today, I have no idea if they're linked to my past or not.
But they wouldn't have been able to, whether it's your past or not, they were following you as a person for whatever reason. Could be to get to one of us, or could be to get the sword. But
Could
it
be
had to
anything.
be you. It couldn't be this. It wouldn't have been the case, because if he had pulled out something and he didn't cast anything, it means that was already on there.
Can we just pull the case out from under the bed, Liam, and completely triple check it and make sure that, some sneaky DM hasn't had a tracker stuck in this box somewhere for the last week?
I mean, we did.
Well, the
that
tracker wouldn't go
happened
through
before,
lead.
I agree.
No, but it could
But
be on the outside somewhere. I just, I have played
Didn't we
D&D
get
with
given
this
this
man
by
for a
the
long
cleric?
time.
No, you did not. I very recently edited that episode. No, you did not.
So can I just, pull it
Yeah.
out from under the bed and do a
What do you
proper...
want? What do you want to do?
I want to properly examine the case inside and out. I know it's apparently lead lined, but I want to properly check all the seams where the wood joins together.
That's the other thing I will point out. You trusted him that it was lead lined.
No, I know, right? And I want to properly
How much do we can't just not trust people? Sorry.
No, you. And
Oh,
you
no.
were
I'm
to be fair,
paranoid.
we
you were
trusted
so
Paranoid
the
person.
shady guy.
You were so paranoid. You wouldn't let him touch the box. You wouldn't let him touch the sword. You were uber paranoid. And you even, when you got outside, checked the sword was still in the box.
Mm.
And
But I just want to do a whole...
because Beecham thought maybe the key turning was like a teleportation activate or some shit But yeah.
So I just want to do another proper... Like I said, I'm checking the
Give me an
edges, the
investigation.
seams, the handles.
we're in a magic circle, aren't we?
You are. You are. So opening while
hell.
so magic circle won't protect against locate object, but again, as Dante pointed out, to locate objects you would have to kind of know where it is or be within 1,000 foot, or be really fucking lucky just to be popping that spell at the perfect time that you guys.
That's kind of my reason of saying I could get it out, have a fight. A fight takes
But if
a
you
couple
get
of
it
minutes
out and
and
have
then
a
put it
fight,
away.
you don't know yet whether they can scry on him.
Yeah.
I rolled really badly there, and I'm going to sit back on my haunches and just go, I can't see anything wrong with this. Anyone else? Bolu, do you want to have a look?
What are you looking for?
Anything that shouldn't be here that could be used to track us, any kind of, somebody just stuck something on this case and now they're following that.
I can look.
something.
I'll look, and I'll give.
Hang on, how many people can look?
I could give Dante. a
So
bit
I'll
of
say
guidance.
one more person can actually roll because you've done an investigation. So I'll allow essentially you're giving advantage by rolling yourself. Guidance is fully allowed, unless there's any other way that you are doing it different to how Eleni did it. Which
Yeah,
is
rather
just
than an investigation.
taking
I'm
a straight
going to do
investigation
investigation because it's my thing.
Yeah, you can have some guidance for that.
To be clear, it doesn't have to not be doing an investigation, just has to be different than how Eleni did it.
25.
Okay.
I'm looking in the lock, I'm looking at the handle, and taking the soft bits out and looking underneath.
Yeah, and it felt
So
inside like the whole.
yeah. So you like take you scan this bit through and through. What you would gather with the 25 is that it was very, very well made, handmade, and like master craftsman artisan level. Like almost the seams are so perfect you're struggling to find them at points. There's you can, when you lift the lid, almost when you lift the felt that's around the lip, there is the definitive piece of wood, lead, or a grey, piece of layer in the middle, and then another piece of wood, or the whole way around the rim. That does suggest that it is lead lined. Other than the fact it's definitely like made to purpose and made like by hand to a very, very, very high level. You don't find anything that would. The only thing in terms of for what you've been thinking about already is that if you knew, so in terms of what we were talking about with locate object, if your description can include the person who made it, how it was made, the type of wood that was made, like if you know intricately, for Dante, it would explain why you would mastercraft hand make this thing instead of just buying one, is because if you ever wanted to find it again, you talk about the 3-inch balsa wood on thingy with a four cotton line lead stuffed with duck feathers, and if you can describe this thing to the T, you then only pick that one out instead of having to pick out the closest one and go to it and see, oh shit, it's just a lot of lead box in a shop. Next one.
Can I try something, Liam?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ichi is going to stand in front of the box and is going to cast locate object, and what I am locating is an arcane tracker created by that person, the person that gave us this box.
Ooh.
So if it was a physical object sort of thing?
Yeah. As if like he created a little arcane thing that is a permanent, because obviously to make something permanent, you have to cast that spell many times.
Oh, yeah.
So even if it was a coin, creating that coin.
But would it not be easier?
100 times, isn't it?
Wouldn't it be easier to put the sword in the box and then see if you can locate the sword?
He's not looking for the sword.
I'm not looking for the sword. I'm looking for
just the box. Okay.
The box. Well, yeah, like because all it need, like he could have created a completely like lead lined thing, and then just where it goes wood, lead between that thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So I am looking for an arcane tracker with locate object.
I very much like
created by that individual.
I do very much like it.
Unfortunately, you find nothing.
If I find nothing, if anything,
that's good.
Let me read the.
Describe or name an object that is familiar to you. You sense the direction. The spell can locate a specific object known to you as if you'd seen it. If you've seen it up close, within 30 feet at least once. Alternatively, the spell can locate the nearest object of a particular kind, such as a certain kind of apparel, jewelry, furniture, tool, or weapon.
Mm-hmm.
This spell can't locate an object if in any thickness of lead. Yeah.
But it basically just tells you direction.
Direction, yeah. And then obviously that is a concentration for 10 minutes. I will then walk the entirety around the box and kind of like move my hand to locate specifically.
Almost like a magnet pulling.
Yeah, I now
box.
have a compass where the North Pole is this object.
And as you take your steps round and walk around the box, it is fixed.
Well, that answers that. The way Ichi does this is that they kind of like they open their hand and a few of like the thorns on Ichi kind of like all coalesce and a single dew of water kind of like bubbles into their hand, and then a single thorn kind of like very much a rudimentary
when you say
compass.
When you say it's fixed, do you mean it's fixed?
So then it's fixed pointing at the box the whole time you walk.
So I will then like move it to a corner. I will move it to another corner, and I will find the exact place. Then I will move it on its side, move it up and down. Like
interestingly, no matter where you move it over the box, it's always pointing straight down.
The box itself is the tracker. Well,
I would say Ichi the box, or at least like the top
the
plate.
wood, or yeah.
I'm just gonna look now incredibly pissed off. I'm not nervous, I'm just angry. I'm going to look at Aileni and just be like, where did we get this box from?
Demetrius gave us this box, didn't he?
Yeah,
when we did the
he donated it. Because we asked him like to have something ready. So yeah, we need to get our own lead box and transfer it over.
To be fair, of all people, that I should have expected.
Yep. Why do you think I was so paranoid of this motherfucker? Even after everything, he still fucked us.
I mean, that means that actually,
we need a new lead box.
But that means that Demetrius can track us, but we know it's Demetrius. If we didn't use the box, in theory, lots and lots of people could see the sword. In theory.
So what I'll say is, the only way really to test this is for the person who has scry, who might be out of spell slots, for this evening at least.
Does he have the power to scry?
Volu can scry.
Can I?
I thought you can scry.
I didn't think he had 4th levels.
I do have 4th level.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, you do. I'm sure scry is 4th level.
Right. 5th.
Okay.
You can't quite.
So that means we need a level up then, Liam.
Well, no, there are clerics that you know that are, but there is ways to test it. Basically, you could test if you can scry on it, but that's the only risk. If you have the sword out and they can scry on Tenebris, then they will just see the sword. If they can't scry on Tenebris while he's in the sword, then actually their only risk is when they're within 1,000 feet and they perfectly describe the sword. Yeah.
What's the name of the person who runs the chapel we're in?
Arcana.
Arcana, that's it. Ichi's gonna go and find Arcana. As soon as Ichi kind of like is done with that, Ichi just closes their hand, stands up, and is gonna go find Arcana.
Can I roll? I don't know. Say, I'm assuming it's a roll, but I know that would dispel magic or remove curse, break something like this.
Why do you think I'm going to go find Arcana? Let's get some dispel magic out.
It very much depends on.
I can try, but I think it's the level, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I'm going to get Arcana.
Yeah, and it depends how it's been done. If it is a sigil carved on the plate on the underside or whatever, then dispel magic will just shut it off. If it is an item enchanted, it will go off. It'll go off for a minute and then it'll come back up. And you would all know this before.
In the same way of like, enchanting a thing is you cast the same thing over and over and over again. Is there a prolonged way of like removing that?
You can disenchant something.
Yeah, cool.
The main
Find me down, motherfucker.
difficulty. The main difficulty is, and to be fair, it's not like, I don't mean difficult by like you can't do it. I just mean the main challenge in undoing an enchantment is, unless it's sort of a special one and it's known a certain way, so like putting it under the pool in a certain lake under a full moon, right? Like, unless it's an item of that sort of specificness, you very much need to know the spells used to create it. Which can be done by looking at the glyph and the things, and taking some time to research and decipher
Would
it.
detect magic tell you?
Detect magic would help you learn.
I mean, I've got detect magic.
Or at least like identify.
Identify, sorry, not just detect
I was going to say
magic.
I don't have identify, but I've got detect
None of us
magic.
have identified.
None of us do.
It's been
It's
the ongoing
the
joke.
main downfall of this party.
None of us can none of us have thieves' tools.
I was
Even
gonna say, as opposed to the thieves' tools, because that
Yeah.
actually.
I mean,
identify.
thieves' tools, we can bust shit open. Arcane identifying, that feels more specific.
I do have thieves' tools that are described as weavers' tools as well.
Weavers' tools.
Weavers, yeah.
Oh, weavers. Sorry.
I can use my weavers as tools as thieves' tools.
But yes, so you would be able to go get High Priest Arcana. Now that it's been maybe it's getting a little later, and now that Dante has cleared a good chunk of the people, it has calmed down. And as you sort of come out into the main bit, Ichi, you can see High Priest Arcana. They're sort of heading towards their room. The door's still open. They're like definitely not like shut for the night. But you can see they're sort of preparing. They're gathering like a wash bowl and a cloth to sort of prepare for the evening.
Arcana?
Yes, Ichi.
Sorry to disturb you as you're about to wind down for the night. Would you, tomorrow or whatever time you first get an opportunity, would you be able to have a highly trained cleric come visit us, as we have a issue with an item that we believe is being tracked?
Yeah. Yes, we can definitely help with that.
Thank you very much. Or alternatively, would you be able to, obviously, if that's quite a big ask, tell us where we can get ourselves a lead-lined box large enough to hold a great sword?
I would say the forge to request it is made. It depends on what you're after. Your other option for seeking out to help yourself is you do curry some favor with the previous former Prime Minister, who is now just a dean at the local academy. I can send them a message, but I have heard that they have some time on their hands recently.
Right. Yeah, that is very good to know. Thank you very much.
But I will ask if there are any priests for you. Obviously, you understand there are lots of my acolytes are burning themselves into the ground.
No, of course, I fully understand that the priority at the moment is the health of the people, which is why I asked for alternatives as well. Thank you very much, Arcanair. I'll let you get back to your evening.
And as they turning, they will go, we did receive a message from Sir Volkov telling us that you have been given permission to look into this officially. To let you know that normally that would also grant you one of the priests to join. I do not know if you want this. I know Volu is fairly adept at these things, but it does also give you some access to if you need your rations or your health potions replenishing. We can now do that free of charge.
Lovely.
To a limit, of course.
Thank you very much. That is very...
In the same way as we would offer any of the guards of the city that were working on an emergency.
Of course, that is very good to know. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that information. Thank you.
Good night. And then they will sort of head through and again, they don't close the door because they're sort of just washing the face and sort of putting lotions on and stuff. And you know that sort of people do come by and ask questions until they're like going to sleep.
Yeah.
They very much run and hold.
Their job is never done.
Yeah. But you would be able to return to the others.
But yeah, Asia will come back, kind of like close the door behind them. Right, I've spoken to Arkana. Hopefully we can get something arranged tomorrow as to have a look at the spelling. Also, we could go to the Forge Ward ourselves and purchase ourselves a new, or have commissioned a new box.
Well, let's leave it where it is for now. We're all here. We can alarm it tonight, like we have been doing. And then, yeah, let's see if we can get a new box made. Something a little bit more ordinary, harder to track.
That's going to be difficult with the size of his sword. Everything's going to be a bit obvious.
We could make it look like something else, an instrument case or I don't know.
Of lead.
But if
Hey,
it's wooden on the outside,
you never
how
know.
would anyone know?
If it's made out of lead, it just means it's an instrument there for heavy metal.
Very well done.
Very well.
Yeah.
But
I think as well. I think you would only
good
need
night.
you would only need to lead the shape of the sword, right? Like
yeah.
if it was like a big cello case, only the middle bit needs to actually be leaded.
Maybe just have a lead sheath.
Someone looks at us and goes,
"Just have a
"Isn't
lead
that-
sheath on my back," and it's just been like still the sword.
Is that the Chaotic Embers? I didn't realize one of them plays the cello.
They've got a new member because he looks for like
I played the lyre.
They got rid of the red-haired human and brought on a bard fire ganassi.
Yeah.
and his red hair is on fire. Like,
yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
did I say it's blonde hair? I can't even remember.
Well,
I still haven't even drawn your picture yet. So
I haven't given you anything, so that's my bad.
But yeah, so is there anything that you want to move on this evening? Do you have the capability to send more sendings, Wolu? I know you were looking at that when
I do.
Send it. Ask if
What? Yeah. What am I sending, Dante?
ask him timescales. Ask him what difficulties he's having with the sword. And it looks over at the group. I would still like a way to kind of move the sword around easier, but I might be outvoted. What do you three think?
I think it depends on whether you're going to use it. If you want to use it, then it's only going to be in its sheath every now and then. If this is a way of hiding it more permanently because we don't want anyone to get to it, then I think I don't know.
I think so. Like it's going to be in a sheath a good 90% of the time. Like people don't walk around with their sword out.
You've been walking around with it strapped to your back.
That's because that was the only way I was carrying it. If I had a better way to carry it, it wouldn't be out.
I think it's up to you. I think the better question is, are we willing to still give the pages to this guy if he can't do the sword as well? Because we might have other people who can help us with the sword.
Well, things to consider. Let's sleep on it.
Olu, do a sending and just ask what are the issues and does he have timescales for the rings and any timescale on the sword in general? Might as well use the spell if we're about to do a long rest. I used to send them out every time we were going to do a long rest.
Usually it's people we hadn't spoken to for ages.
I know, and we used to find amazing stuff
Are
out.
we literally about to long rest?
Yeah.
Well, it's what, tea time?
Well, The thing is, so basically, what I was going to say is, you've
So
got some
if we're
down,
not doing anything else, I'll do 2 send-ins.
you've got downtime essentially because you don't need to sleep immediately. I was going to say you can knock off 4 hours towards anything you are learning, crafting, doing.
Dog
I don't know if
training.
anybody is. Dog training, 4 hours you can knock off towards stuff.
If we ever become famous, God, that would cause so much aggro.
Yeah, doxing yourself.
I'm saying. Does lead have to be solid?
Is this part of a sending, or are you asking me a question?
No, this is to the group.
I'm imagining it has to be a complete
Yeah, it has to fully
surround,
encase.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Why do you mean?
But does it
liquid?
have to be solid?
Can it be liquid? Are you saying?
I have no idea
Ooh.
what temperature it melts at, to be honest.
Yeah, and how we'd have to maintain that.
I
If
mean,
Dante's just
to
walking
be
around,
honest, like, I'm a walking lava pit, and the sword itself is gonna have some.
If we, I just had a thought where if we could liquefy lead, then we could cast it into a mold and basically make it like perfectly fit around the sword.
It is
And then if
327.5 degrees
just like a
Celsius.
300. Yes, I mean,
which
forges go hard.
yeah.
Do we have a forge though? Do we have access
It's
to a place
very
to
Go
low
to-
compared to most metals.
go to the forge
We'd
ward.
have to go to Thaddeus, maybe. Would he not have
Could do. And then maybe we could basically have it as like as thinly lined as possible, so then it's essentially just a sheath over the sword. And then
That's the thing, is any thickness of lead blocks all magic.
It's the weight. It's just generally the weight, and literally, I don't know whether this is because modern tech and stuff, but it's I asked, is it easy to cast with? And it's literally one of the easiest metals to cast with.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, think of how soft lead is that it's in pencils. Like it's just
Yeah.
layers. Like in terms of like its
yeah,
actual.
I just don't think we do it in the real world because
Well, we have
leaded
other
oil,
things now.
all the
Yeah.
problems we have with lead.
But also it's quite fragile as well in
Yeah.
terms of like you do need a level of thickness for it not to just snap.
But we could do that, get it molded, and then cast something over the lead, so then it even doesn't look like a lead sheath.
I mean, you could
It's
just even
definitely
wrap it in
possible.
cloth at that point, couldn't you? But it's
Or well, if you want it to stay like intact, you could then put like some sort of metal on top of it, which then helps. Once it's solidified, it's then cast, and it's essentially just a sheath that's lead lined.
I think it's up to you. But I think actually now that I've said it, Thaddeus isn't a bad shout for some of this. He's got that whole laboratory, right? He must have a forge. He must have a forge. Up
Is there
there
a
somewhere.
thickness?
You've seen
Is there a
it.
thickness of lead? Did they say? Is it like an inch of lead? Because I'm sure there is a
any thickness of lead.
Yeah, it's like an inch of
They do. Yeah, sorry. That's why they do box with a thin bit. The issue usually is for this size, especially in a box form, you have to fully seal it. And again, it wasn't made with like you didn't give him the sword and be like make a specific thing for this. He just made one that would fit a great sword.
So if just hypothetically, if we made a sheath of lead, and then could you dip the hilt in lead, or like cover and have that just so the hilt and that is covered in lead as well? The reason I'm asking because then that is completely from top to tip sealed when it's in the sheath.
Yes, but what do you? But then
That'll
you
knock the
you
weight
are
off.
messing.
No,
You're messing with the sword massively to have the hilt dipped in lead. Even just a tiny bit.
And it messes with the weight of the sword as well. Right?
That's what I mean in terms of like.
Yeah, the
the
actual
lead on the
balance
hilt
of the
is
sword
permanent.
isn't as good, but
A weapon master though.
Also, lead is quite a slippy metal. So
this is why I was saying you'd need
wear
to almost
gloves.
you'd imbue it in
the
something
lead
else.
itself is very slippy.
Oh,
Like it,
right.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, Chris. You're saying
yeah, it's
the hilt as well.
But
When it's in the sheath, it's fully sealed, and when it's out the sheath,
yeah.
I think definitely some thoughts for pondering, and maybe some. So with the two sendings, are you still sending?
Still
in that case, I'm only sending one, and it's the one that I've put in roll 20.
Okay, so please
say it out.
Yeah. Go on, say it.
I was checking that it was 30 words, but yeah,
25.
Well, even better. Please, can you let us know the time scale? Please, can you let us know timescale wise on the rings and amulets? What are the issues with the great sword? Love you, bye.
Okay, there's another pause. I say
Hours later.
yeah. The rings and amulets should be tomorrow. It is mostly time. I could get a bag of holding, but something so bespoke harder.
I'll relay that to the team.
Still hasn't given us. It still hasn't given us time scales because he just said.
Well, the rings tomorrow.
The rings.
The rings tomorrow. Oh, but he didn't give us time scales. We didn't ask.
Yeah, the sword, he said that in terms of it depends. He can get you a bag of holding very quick. So he's trying to keep the words short though, obviously. But he, for something like what you wanted, a sheath that is specific, that's going to take him time. It needs crafting. Even if you guys do it, it's still going to be the cost of the item half. I think the cost of the item divided by 50 in days to craft.
So a bag of holding would do us temporarily, and then once we've got something more permanent for the sword, we've got a cool bag of holding that'd help us out anyway. I mean, is the bag of holding an option? I feel like, I know you probably want to do some more healing tomorrow, Dante, and I'm not, obviously we don't need to leave the city tonight, but I also feel like there's a bit of a time scale on us getting to the lake. And
well, there's no time scale with the lake because they've said we can get there at any time.
But it's about to be able to get there and back to the city and do something about the infection before it spreads so much that
they're already wardening enough parts of the city. If we don't leave now, we might get stuck here.
So it's that, it's actually being able to stop the infection in time. I feel like really today and tomorrow, then we probably need to be going.
I'll go with what the group thinks.
I mean, and the same. I mean, I'm putting it out there for people to talk about, but I think now that we have a thing to do, I think we should go and do it as quickly as possible to get there and get back. We said it'd be less than a week.
We still need those amulets. That will be done by tomorrow.
Exactly.
So we could get the amulets. Maybe speak to Thaddeus about that shielding, making some sort of lead sheath, and then time-wise, by the time I get back, you may be done.
Yeah, he could be making something like that for us. I don't know how much
we just
that'll cost, but yeah.
We'll have to put up with the lead box for now.
Well, no, we
To be fair,
could have the bag of holding for now. It's as easy to get it out of the bag of holding as it is to get it off the box off my back and the sword out the box.
It's actually quicker to get out of the bag of holding because yes, it's an action, but you literally stick your hand in and say "great sword" and it's there. And
if Dante's carrying the bag of holding, it's just hanging on his waist, isn't it? I mean,
it takes an action for me to get it out.
But
it'll take that to get it out the box.
Yeah. So either way,
but no, at the minute it's not even an action. She has to put it down,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Then
your
you
free
have to,
item
we'll have to
interaction.
unbuckle it, and then
Then you've got to unlock it. If you've not used your free item interaction, that's an action, right? You've got to use the key. Who's holding the key? You've got, like, there is a level of, right now, there is multiple people have to interact with the box before you get your
yeah. No, I'm getting that.
So it's a temporary thing. It means that we can go and do what we need to do with a bag of holding, and we can get a box, a proper box made, or a sheath, or whatever we want to do. We can get that made, and that can be happening while we're not here.
Just a other question I wanted to ask, because we're talking about melting down this lead box, right, and using the lead from that.
I don't know. You could do.
That-
Nobody's actually spoke about it.
The reason I'm asking is if the tracker is, I don't know, of the lead itself, would that destroy the tracker, or would it just pass it on?
No, if you melted it down, it would destroy it.
Okay.
But or you would figure out that that piece is the thing because it's not melting, so it must be magically reinforced, right? Like you would immediately find out the one slate piece of the lead that is enchanted. Do you know what I mean? Although, as far as you know, I think Ichi would be thinking more the wood on the box would be enchanted because you would need it to be past the layer of lead. Because any layer, any thickness of lead blocks it. So even if you've carved it into the lead, it might fuck with it. I'm trying to just because also it's not that expensive either. It's like 5 copper per pound.
Well,
So you could very, very easily, and in crafting senses, you pay half the cost of an item. So in my head, especially if you're having Thaddeus do it, and it's not magical by any sense, which does mean I'll warn you dealing with the weight. You're not talking more than 30, 40 gold cost wise.
divided by 50.
Well, for how long it would take him to make it.
Yeah. So
yeah,
30 divided by 50.
It's like a day. I need to check the rules and make sure that's the same for mundane items, but that's how you work out magical items. Because that's why we know potions are a day, because they're 50 gold.
That's something for us to maybe sleep on.
And I think, something we can chat about outside. Any other sendings, any other casts, or are we doing some downtime and bedding up for the evening?
Send a sending to someone random. Anybody. Someone that you weren't ready to say it.
I'm okay. I was gonna do some sending to maybe get some Fae tips on potentially something lead line, but I like the idea we've come up with, so I'm not going to.
Okay. And if you want to knock off any sort of extra downtime, the 4 hours towards teaching.
Yeah, I will 4 hours towards stay.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us up to 6 hours.
I feel like I need to come up with something for Ayla to do now in downtime.
I don't even know if you have tools or anything like that.
I don't have any tools, so I'm gonna have a look.
Yeah, okay. But with that, that's where we will leave this week's session. Some plans made, ready for the next steps. Thank you for joining us. As always, thank you for playing. If you've enjoyed the adventure so far and want to know what's coming up next, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the video is coming out. And as always,